Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Myself Dr. Anil Terdal, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Chemistry, JSS Arts, Science and Commerce College, Gokak, which is affiliated to Rani Chennamma University. Today's topic of discussion is electrogravimetry. So let us see what are the things we are going to discuss. These are the points we are going to discuss. The first point is the introduction to gravimetry, and next is classification of gravimetry, and then in specific we are going to discuss in the third point electrogravimetry, which is designated as EG. Then we will see basics and principles of electrogravimetry. Then in detail we are going to study about instrumentation of electrogravimetry, and further the specific application of EG is the determination of copper plus 2 ions in any analyte by using electrogravimetry. So these are the things we are going to discuss in this concept, that is in electrogravimetry. So let's start with the introduction. The term, as we know, the term gravimetry pertains to a weight measurement. So as we have already studied this concept, that is gravimetric analysis or gravimetric method. So it is simply means weight measurement. Gravimetric method is one in which the analysis is completed by a weighing operation. So it is simply a this analysis is simply completed by weighing operation. Gravimetric analysis or a gravimetric method is a group of analytical methods in which the amount of analyte is determined by the measurement of mass of a pure substance containing the analyte. So it's a simply a measurement of the mass of a pure substance containing analyte. So we just need to measure the mass of the substance or mass of the analyte. So that gravimetric analysis means. Gravimetric methods can also be defined as, which is a quantitative analysis, as we are weighing the mass of the substance or mass of the analyte, which is a quantitative method based on the determining the mass of a pure compound to which the analyte is chemically related. So it simply means it is a quantitative analytical method based on the determining the mass of a pure compound to which the analyte is chemically related. So as we already know how we are doing the gravimetric analysis, like precipitation, then filtration, after that weighing process, after that drying process, all these things we are doing in the gravimetric methods that we have already studied in detail about this gravimetric analysis. It simply means that measurement of a mass of a pure substance containing analyte, or we can say determination of mass of a pure compound to which the analyte is chemically related. So this is about the gravimetric analysis definition or gravimetric methods definition. So based on the separation, based on the separation technique, so we have main four types of gravimetric methods. The separation of a element or the compound, or the separation of the compound containing it may be effected in a number of ways, the most important of which are: the first one is precipitation methods, volatilization method, evolution method, electroanalytical methods, and the last one is extraction or chromatographic methods. So it is simply how we are going to separate the analyte from the mixture or the sample mixture. So it is there are four types of gravimetric methods. The first one is precipitation method, where we are going to add the precipitation reagent to the sample mixture, which is in the solution form. Then what we are getting is that the precipitation reagent is precipitating the required analyte, and then we are going to do the gravimetric analysis further. So similarly, if you go for the volatilization method, or evolution methods, and third one is electroanalytical methods, and fourth one is extraction or chromatographic extraction and chromatographic method. Let us see in detail about these all four methods, which are classification of gravimetric methods. Let's see the precipitation method. As we know, the solution which contains analyte. So once the moment you add the reagent to this solution, and this the precipitating reagents gets precipitated all the analyte present in this solution. First it becomes suspension and then it becomes precipitate. So once we get a precipitate, so this can be separated by using precipitation method and weighed out this precipitation. So that can be done here. We will see step by step or systematically. In the precipitation method, analyte must first be converted to solid or precipitate. So as here, by the precipitation with appropriate reagent, with an appropriate precipitating reagent, the precipitates from a solution is filtered. First we need to filter this precipitate and then we need to wash the precipitate thoroughly. After that we need to purify if necessary this precipitate, and finally weighing of the precipitation method. So which is of course the class of the gravimetric method, where we are always weighing the mass of the precipitation. So here the precipitate is weighed finally to get the weight of the analyte, or to determine the analyte quantitatively. So here simply analyte must first be converted to a solid or precipitate by adding precipitation reagent. Once we add the precipitation reagent to the solution, we will get the precipitate and the supernet solution, and this precipitation is filtered, washed, purified if necessary, and then finally weighed. So this is the procedure for the precipitation method in the gravimetric analysis. For example here, let's say for example this solution containing calcium plus 2 ions, let's say it is calcium plus 2 ions are the analyte, which is to be determined gravimetrically by precipitation method. So calcium plus 2 ions are precipitated as a calcium oxalate. So this calcium oxalate on ignition, this gives us calcium oxide. So this finally we weigh the calcium oxide, we will get how many number up or how many number up or what is the mass of the calcium plus 2 ions present in the solution. So here it comes, the calcium can be converted gravimetrically by precipitation of calcium oxalate. Once we add the precipitating reagent, that is that is oxalate ions, and then these oxalate ions are reacting with the analyte ions, that is calcium ions, gives us calcium oxalate as a precipitate. So this precipitate is further ignited, the ignition process, under the ignition process, this gives us calcium oxide. So once we weigh the calcium oxide, and once we have a conversion factor, how many number of ions or how many mass of the calcium plus 2 ions present in the 1 mole of calcium oxide, that is chemically related. Once we know that, then it is easy to calculate how many number of calcium plus 2 ions present in the given solution. This can be done by using precipitation method, specifically by the addition of precipitating reagent, that is oxalate ions in the precipitating reagent. So this is about precipitation method. The second one is volatilization or evolution method. So in this method, the analyte or its decomposition products are dried or volatilized and then collected and weighed. So here very simple. So either the decomposition of the product, in this method the analyte or its decomposition products are volatilized or dried. Then the collected this uh, product are to be weighed, or alternatively the mass of the volatilized product is to be determined indirectly by the loss of mass of the sample. So I repeat this one. This method, the analyte or its decomposition products are volatilized, then collected and weighed. So once the decomposition products are volatilized, so we need to collect that volatilized product and then weighed. So this is the volatilization method, or we can also say it is alternatively the mass of the volatilized product is determined indirectly by the loss of mass of the sample. So this is the another way of determining the volatilization product. So how it is? We can say alternatively the mass of the volatilized product is determined indirectly by the loss of mass of the sample. So it is simple means once we have, for example, we have a compound which containing water. So just dry the compound by supplying some amount of heat. So what will happen? Some of the water molecules loses after some time. So then what you will have to do is first you weigh the sample before the heating process, and then weigh the sample after heating process. So just you will get to know that how much weight loss is weight loss obtained before and after the heating process. So it is simply, we have already studied the thermogravimetric analysis. So how many number of water molecules are expelled out, or upon the heating how many number of water molecules are removed. So that is corresponds to the weight loss of the mass of the sample. So this is simply means, so the alternative method is the mass of the volatilized product is to be determined indirectly by the loss of mass of the sample. So here are the examples. The analyte or its decomposition products are volatilized at a suitable temperature. The volatile product is then collected and weighed. The mass of the product is indirectly determined from the loss in the mass of the sample. That is, the mass of the product is indirectly determined from the loss in the mass of the sample. So this is simply first example. Here the second example is water can be separated from the most inorganic compounds by ignition. The evolved water can then be absorbed on any one of the several solid desiccants. The weight of the water evolved may be calculated from the gain in weight of the absorbent. So it's very simple. You just weigh the desiccants before the reaction or before the desiccation process, and weigh the solid desiccant after the desiccation process. So just see the difference in the weights. Upon the desiccation process, what will happen? The water molecules gets absorbed on the surface on the desiccants. So because of the evolution of the water molecules from the inorganic compounds upon ignition. So upon the ignition, these the inorganic compounds are liberated water molecules. These liberated water molecules are absorbed on the surface of desiccants. So we can easily determine how many number of water molecules, or what is the weight of the water molecules which are absorbed by the desiccants by simply weighing it before the desiccation process and after the desiccation process. So whatever the amount or whatever the gain in the weight of the absorbent or desiccant is corresponds to the number of water molecules which is absorbed during the ignition process. This is simply means. So this is the second one, is that is volatilization or evolution method. So let's see the third method. So that is electroanalytical method. So electroanalytical methods are sub-discipline of analytical chemistry which determines the characteristics of an analyte present in the electrochemical cell. So this is the electrochemical cell. See here. See, this is the Daniell cell or the electrochemical cell. It's a simply example here I'm giving. The electrochemical methods are the sub-discipline or sub-classification of analytical chemistry, which determines the characteristics of an analyte. Characteristics means what is the concentration of the analyte present in the electrochemical cell, or how much percentage, how much quantity of the uh, analyte present in the electrochemical cell, or we can say in general the qualitative and quantitative analysis of the analyte present in the electrochemical cell can be determined by the electroanalytical methods, simply means. So these vast electrochemical methods fall into various categories which are dependent on the key component which regulates or controls the cell. So if the potential is controlling the cell, we have a different electroanalytical method for the determination of analyte in the electrochemical cell. Or if the voltage, if the current is controlling the electrochemical cell, we have again different method, for example coulometry. So there are various number variety of electroanalytical methods which are there for the determination of analyte in the electrochemical cell, based on what? Based on the key component which regulates or which controls the full cell or electrochemical cell. So, for example, electrogravimetry, voltammetry, polarography, and, and coulometry. So, there are many more electroanalytical methods, specifically electrogravimetry, voltammetry, polarography, and coulometry, and so on. So, based on the key component which controls the cell. So this is very important. So we are going to study, so one of the analytical methods, that is electrogrammetry, we are going to study in detail about this. So in the electroanalytical methods, the last one is extraction and chromatographic method. So we already discussed about the chromatographic methods, so where we are also doing qualitative and quantitative analysis of the analyte in the component mixture. Chromatography is a physical method of separation in which the components to be separated are distributed between two phases mainly, one of which is stationary phase, while other moves in a definite direction. Sorry. So other while, so here we are just separating the component mixture from the component mixture just by distributing this component mixture between two phases. One is liquid phase and other is stationary phase. So this we have already discussed in the chromatographic topic, so in the previous videos, so that you can, that we can see it in detail if you want to know more about the chromatography. So here also we are just doing the qualitative and quantitative determination of the analyte by using chromatographic method or extraction method. So here also we can easily take the eluted molecules in the form of liquid or solid. Then if it is liquid, then add again precipitating reagent to it, and then again do the gravimetric analysis. Well, these are all about the classification of the classification of the gravimetry. So we are going to see the electroanalytical methods. In the electroanalytical methods, we are going to study in detail about the electrogravimetry. So we'll see the definition of the electrogravimetry. In this method, in the electrogravimetry, the name itself indicates gravimetry, meaning this involves the measurement of the mass of the sample, and electro meaning it stands for, so this involves, so there is some, by the application of either the voltage or the current, we are doing the precipitation, or we are doing the separation of the analytes from the from the sample, from the mixture. So in this method, the analyte, usually metal based analytes, is being determined through the electrolytic deposition onto the suitable electrode, that is working electrode, under controlled experimental conditions. So it's very simple, electrolytic deposition we are doing here. So in the precipitation method, we are adding what? We are adding precipitating reagent. So once we add the precipitating reagent, what you will get, you will get the analyte which is going to precipitating out. And the, after that we are just filtering and doing all the other things in the gravimetry. we're just taking the weight of the sample later. So in the electrogrammetry, what we are doing, we just need to apply the electrochemistry. We just need to apply the either the current or the voltage by using these entities. The analyte is usually a metal based analyte which is determined through the electrolytic deposition, or we can also say electro deposition of metal based analyte onto the suitable electrode. That is, specifically we can say it is working electrode under controlled experimental conditions. In electrogravimetric method, filtration is not required, as it is by the application of voltage, either the voltage or the current. We are just depositing the uh, a metal based sunlight on the surface of working electrode. So then what will happen? So there the filtration is not required, of course. Under optimum parameters, co-deposition of the two metals can be avoided. It's very simple. So under optimum parameters, we can avoid the co-deposition also. Co-deposition meaning at applied potential or applied current at this working electrode. We'll see that in detail about this how the process is in later slides. But here, once you apply the voltage or the current to this working electrode, so what will happen? The electrolytic deposition of the metals takes place. So at this applied electrode potential, or we can say current, so there may be co-deposition also takes place. So at some potential, the two metals might deposit on the surface of the working electrode or suitable electrode. So this can be avoided if you optimize the parameters. This can also be avoided in electrogravimetry. So this how this electrolytic deposition takes place. So what is the basis of this? So we have two laws. One is Ohm's law and other is Faraday's laws of electrolysis. There are two laws of electrolysis, that is Faraday's two laws of electrolysis, and the first one is Ohm's law. So based on these laws, the electrodeposition or the electrolytic deposition is usually take place. So we will see these. The laws are simply required for this deposition, or on that basis the deposition is taking place. So we'll see that in the next video. So electrogravimetry simply means it is a method, it is a quantitative method where the analyte is to be determined to be determined through the electrolytic deposition on a suitable electrode or working electrode under controlled experimental conditions. So in the electrogravimetric method, filtration is not required, and under optimum parameters, the co-deposition of two metals can be avoided. So this is the definition of electrogrammetry. The whole basis of this electrogrammetry, or the electrodeposition or the electrocatalytic deposition, is governed by Ohm's law and by by Faraday's two laws of electrolysis. So we will discuss these laws in the next video. If you have any questions regarding this what we discussed today's video, so you just call me, or you just text me in the. Okay, thank you.